To access the progress chart in Pragmatic Tracker, simply click on Charts. This is a picture painting 1,000 words. Over here on the left-hand side, we have summary data for the client, the start date of treatment, the number of appointments attended, cancelled, etc. Below this, we have the measures that have been used with the client and the progress on each of these different measures. We've got here, for example, the Core 10C, the ORS, the goals measure that was built for the client, the problems measure, and the feedback measure, the PRN F5. Now, the keys for these measures are displayed across the top here, and the y-axis is standardized 0 to 100 when more than one measure is displayed at a time, because each measure has its own scoring characteristics. You'll notice how that changes if over here we change, for example, to Core 10C on the chart controls. The y-axis now changes to the actual y-axis as it should be for that particular measure. If we go, for example, to goals, you'll see that the chart y-axis now changes to 0 to 10 for goals. So the chart control determines what's going to be displayed on the chart. For example, with goals, you can see there were 3 different goals, and they each have their own measure as well, their own line, their own scoring line. So you can see as I click on them here, these display, and in fact I can remove the aggregate completely by just unticking that, and now I've just got the 3 individual goals displayed here. Going back to show all of the scores together again, we simply click on all and this displays everything. And then if we want to look at a particular scoring point to see more information about that, we can hover on it and it displays the score, and then by simply clicking on that scoring point we get a table drop down below the chart. Now if there's components in the measure, for example in this case there's a risk component, so that that risk item is highlighted here to bring our attention to it, it will be displayed with a particular color. But in addition to that, we also have the ability to see item by item the changes in the scores over time. So from the first time a measure was scored to the previous to this time to this time. So in the case of this scoring point here, you can see that this score was 11, but the previous score for it was 8 and the first score was 25. So let's just look at Core 10C on its own to see that a bit more clearly. So now you can see this score is 11, the previous score was 8, and the first score was 25. So this is to give us an idea of how far the client has traveled in their journey from the first point of attendance, and also how much has changed since the last time they've been with us. So we find that this is very, very helpful. If we want to look at a different measure or 2 measures together, you can see these here together. Anytime there's more than one measure displayed, the y-axis will change 0 to 100. If we want to see just for that individual on its own, now we've got the ORS scoring 0 to 40. And once again, let's pick this scoring point here on the 4th of January. So on the 4th of January, the score was 19.2. The previous score was 14.8, and the first score was 10.2. So the charts gives you a lot of information in one particular page about the whole story for that particular client, and is incredibly useful in discussing the process of treatment with the actual client you're working with.